Fear. We all know what that feels like, right? That jolt of adrenaline, your heart pounding, everything coming into sharp focus. It's this primal, incredibly powerful force. But what is actually going on inside our brains when we're terrified? And, maybe more importantly, when that fear system goes haywire and gets stuck on, what can we do to fix it? Let's trace the wiring of terror and find out.
I want you to picture this. You're out hiking in the mountains. The air is crisp, the view is just stunning. And then you hear a shout from behind you. You look up, and there, maybe 50 yards ahead, a mother grizzly bear and her 2 cubs are crossing your path. There's literally nowhere to go. And in that moment of just pure white-hot panic, your body just freezes. So that freezing response, that split-second decision that your brain makes without you even thinking about it, that's really at the heart of what we're talking about today. What is going on in the brain's wiring during a moment like that? We're going to trace the neural pathways of panic to understand not just why we get scared, but how we can actually heal.
Now, here's what's so fascinating about this. Fear isn't just some feeling you have on the inside. It actually acts like a filter on your eyes. It warps your perception of the physical world around you. It's not just in your head, it literally changes what you see.
Okay, get this. Researchers had people estimate the height of a 10-meter balcony. When they were looking up from the ground, they guessed it was about 29% taller than it really was. But when they stood at the very top and looked down, where the danger feels the most real, their guess skyrocketed. They thought it was 52% taller. Fear literally made the fall look longer.
So how does the brain even do that? How does it react so fast that it can change our perception before we even have a chance to think? Well, it turns out our brain has this brilliant 2-track system for processing any kind of danger.
This whole idea comes from the groundbreaking work of neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux. He figured out we have these 2 parallel pathways, and he called them the high road and the low road. You can think of them as 2 completely different routes that information about a threat can take to get to your brain's alarm center.
So let's actually trace these paths together. When your eyes see that bear, the signal first hits a little relay station called the sensory thalamus, and from there, it splits. The low road is like this super fast, dirty shortcut that sends an immediate danger signal straight to the amygdala. That's your brain's smoke detector. At the exact same time, the high road sends the signal on a longer, more scenic route up to the cortex for a careful analysis before it too checks in with the amygdala.
And this is just the perfect way to think about it. The low road is a bumpy dirt track. It's incredibly fast and it makes you react instantly. It's the whole reason you jump back from a coiled shape on a trail before your brain even knows if it's a snake or just a branch. The high road is the paved highway. It takes a tiny bit longer, about 300 milliseconds, for your conscious thinking brain to analyze the details and go, okay, relax, it's just a branch.
That low road is absolutely essential for survival. But what happens when that alarm gets stuck in the on position? Well, this is exactly where a healthy, normal fear response can morph into the really debilitating experience of chronic anxiety. You know, healthy fear, what scientists call adaptive fear, is your brain's totally appropriate reaction to a real and present danger, like that grizzly bear. It's designed to be intense, focused, and quick, just long enough to get you to safety. But maladaptive anxiety, that is a completely different beast. It's this persistent state of alarm about threats that are just potential, or way off in the distance, or maybe not even clearly defined at all. It's the fear system just running and running, even when there's no immediate danger in sight. So here's the crucial point. Neurologically speaking, anxiety disorders often boil down to a combination of a hypersensitive low road, that instant alarm, and an underactive high road. The analytical, calming part of the brain just struggles to hit the brakes and tell the alarm system, hey, it's okay, you can stand down. But, and this is the really hopeful part, this whole system isn't fixed in stone. Our brains are designed to learn from our experiences. We learn what to be afraid of, which means, and this is key, we can also learn not to be afraid. So how does experience actually shape these circuits?
Well, sometimes life teaches our brains the wrong lesson. When we're repeatedly put in stressful situations we can't control, the brain can actually learn that nothing we do matters. This is called learned helplessness, and neurologically, it's tied to an underactive prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain that makes plans and takes action.
But the opposite is also true, and this is so powerful. When we experience having even a tiny bit of control over a stressor, we build resilience. This is called learned controllability. It basically vaccinates the brain against future helplessness, and it strengthens those active problem-solving circuits. It teaches the brain, hey, I can handle this.
This whole principle of learning and unlearning is the foundation for one of the most effective treatments for anxiety out there, cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. And this isn't just about talking things out, it's about actively rewiring the brain's fear response.
CBT is really a structured, skills-based approach. It starts with just understanding what's happening in your brain. Then you learn how to restructure your thoughts. After that, you gradually face what you fear in a safe way. And finally, you build a plan for the future.
I want you to think of it this way. CBT is basically a form of targeted brain training. Every component is like a specific exercise that's designed to strengthen or recalibrate a part of that fear circuitry we've been talking about this whole time. Okay, here's where it all comes together. Part 1. Cognitive restructuring. That's where you learn to identify, challenge, and change those catastrophic thoughts. That is literally exercise for your high road. It beefs up the analytical, rational part of your brain, which gives it way more power to regulate that emotional alarm system. And here's the second half of the puzzle. Exposure therapy, where you gradually and safely face the things you're afraid of, that directly retrains the low road. It teaches your amygdala, on a gut, instinctual level, that the thing it's screaming about isn't actually a life or death danger. It actually recalibrates the alarm itself. So, does this brain training actually work? Oh yeah, the evidence is pretty overwhelming. In one long-term study of people treated with CBT for panic disorder, the relapse rate was only 23%. By retraining both the high and the low roads, CBT creates real, lasting change.
Which really brings us to a final, powerful thought. The neuroscience is crystal clear. Our brains are not static. The pathways that create fear are shaped by our experiences. So if helplessness and fear can be learned, doesn't it stand to reason that the opposite, resilience, agency, maybe even courage, can be practiced and strengthened too? It's not about never feeling fear. It's about training our brains to navigate it.